Hello everyone, Luke here again. It's been a while since I've done an F1 video, and I thought, seeing as it's for summer break, we might as well try to get started again, but this time with some of the questions that you guys have asked me about the F1 2021 season. So let's get started. Firstly, we're going to talk about Lando Norris, courtesy of questions from Jess and Colin. As Jess mentioned, he's already beat his 2020 points total this year. He's third in the championship in the third best car after 11 races. An absolutely astounding performance. Only failed to score points once, and he was a completely innocent victim of Bottas's bowling impression at the Hungaroring. He's been amazing. I said earlier on this season at the start in a video that I thought things would be close between Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo. Oh boy, did I get that wrong. A tiny bit wrong. Lando has absolutely wiped the floor with him so far, and I see no reason that won't continue for the rest of the season. Where would I rate him though relative to the other drivers? He's not going to be a Lewis Hamilton. He's not going to be a Max Verstappen. Maybe if you put him in a good enough car, we'll see some race wins. I'll be very surprised if he goes his entire career without winning a race. Maybe if you put him in a good enough car, he might be able to sneak to the World Championship. We've seen it done before with drivers who we think are good, but not quite at that all-time great level. Lando's young still. He's definitely got the potential. We'll just wait and see where his career goes. We can't really talk about Lando Norris without mentioning his teammate, Daniel Ricciardo. And Glenn asked me what my thoughts were on the Australian's performance this year. He's been pretty poor. Let's be honest, can't really beat around the bush. We expected a lot more from Daniel Ricciardo in 2021. A bit like when he joined Renault 2 years ago. He's just struggling in that new team. You might remember that season he reversed into Daniel Kvyat in Azerbaijan in what was quite an embarrassing performance. But we've seen a lot of drivers struggle with their new team this year. Fernando Alonso didn't start off fantastically at Alpine. His performances have picked up massively. Sebastian Vettel struggled initially against Lance Stroll at Aston Martin. Vettel's now picked up one podium, and who knows, might get another if his appeal is successful against the disqualification. Carlos Sainz, he was the only one to really get on it straight away, and he's now tied with Leclerc in the championship at Ferrari. Ricciardo's still nowhere. Yes, he's had a bit of bad luck. Reliability in Styria cost him a few points. If he hadn't have been involved in that accident at Hungary at Turn 1, who knows what might have happened for him. Didn't get any points because of the damage to his car, and he was really dejected at the end of that race. He does not look like he's enjoying himself, despite the happy exterior he tries to put on for the media. Ricciardo looks in a bad place at the moment, and I'm worried this is pretty much it for him. He's 32. He's got one more season at McLaren after this one. He needs to start performing. I think he's got to try and match Lando for the rest of the season. We've seen him do well at Spa before. That is the next race. He won there in the Red Bull in 2014 after the two Mercedes collected each other. He needs a good result. He needs something just to give him that confidence boost, because I think if he struggles for the rest of this season and then maybe a bad start next year, who knows, maybe we won't see any more of Daniel Ricciardo after 2022. Next up, we've got questions from Matthias asking me who my surprise/star drivers were of this season and any driver transfer predictions. I think we've already talked about the surprises. Norris surprising me with how well he's done, and likewise Ricciardo surprising me with how much he's struggled. Other ones I'm going to go for the star drivers, the protagonists of this championship battle, or antagonists, depending on your opinion. Obviously, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton both putting in absolutely fantastic performances. They've come together once this season, and I'm still tending towards racing incident for that. Maybe slightly more Hamilton's fault, but we're talking 60-40 at most. It was a very risky move to go for on lap one of the race, but Max, knowing he was in the lead of the championship, maybe should have just pulled back slightly and tried to fight for it later on. I would not be surprised if we see any contact between them again later on this season. Belgium particularly could get very dicey between the two of them. Other ones that I'm going to go for star drivers, George Russell, fantastic in qualifying once again. So close on so many occasions before he finally got his first points in a Williams, and it just sums up Russell in a Williams, the fact that Latifi actually managed to beat him in that race. So a great performance from George this season. And Pierre Gasly as well. He's done a fantastic job in the AlphaTauri, soundly beating the rookie Yuki Tsunoda. Maybe one day we'll see a big team go for a punt on Gasly again. Maybe Red Bull, maybe someone else. Maybe next year's going to be the year we're going to see Mercedes finally go for George Russell. And that brings me on to my predictions for the 2022 grid. The 2022 driver market, I don't think there's really going to be too many changes. I'll go through the teams I expect to stay the same. Red Bull, Verstappen will stay. I think Perez has just about done enough so far. He could do with doing a bit better in qualifying. McLaren, we've spoke about already. Norris and Ricciardo both signed up for next year. Alpine, likewise. Ferrari, Leclerc's on a long-term contract. Science has definitely proved that he belongs there. AlphaTauri, there's no one else really coming through. And I think it's certain that Gasly will be staying there now alongside Tsunoda. Aston Martin, Vettel, he's doing a good job, and Stroll's dad owns the team, and I think Stroll has done a decent enough job this year. And Haas, again, Mazepin, his dad's going to help him stay there with that money, and he seems to be pulling up his consistency, even if his pace is slightly off, and I think they'll keep hold of Mick Schumacher as well. So only 3 teams that I haven't mentioned: Mercedes, Alfa Romeo, and Williams, and all the moves I expect to happen there are linked with Russell leaving Williams, going to Mercedes. I know previously I've said I thought Bottas might just retain that seat, but the consistency that Russell has shown, given the odd mistake that Bottas has made, I think it's time now to see what George can do in the main team. But that's not to say Bottas isn't good enough to stay in Formula 1. He's been holding a lot of talks with Fred Vasseur at Alfa Romeo, if the rumours are to be believed. And in Formula 1, there's usually no smoke without fire. So I do expect Bottas to be replacing Kimi Raikkonen at Alfa Romeo. And that's probably the end, let's be honest, of Kimi Raikkonen's Formula 1 career. 42 at the end of this season. He'll have completed over 350 races, last Ferrari World Champion, a well-earned retirement. I'm sure we'd all agree. The other Alfa Romeo seat, that's one of those that is massively up for grabs. Giovinazzi, not doing bad whatsoever in qualifying alongside Kimi. His race pace just seems to be a bit worse. Whether they'll stay with him, whether they'll go completely outside of Ferrari's driver academy, which I think is very unlikely. If they are going to get rid of Giovinazzi, could be Robert Schwartzman, who's not doing too bad in Formula 2 this year, or maybe Callum Ilott. He's been the reserve driver for them. He's been in that team for a bit. Maybe he'll get that chance, and if he doesn't, I think we'll probably see him in a future hypercar program for the Scuderia. The Williams seats, I know they say they don't need the money, but if Latifi's there, he's consistent. He did score points with them last time around. His pace might not be that great, but if he's bringing in that extra bit of cash, I think they might keep him. Alongside him, though, I've no idea. I've heard Hulkenberg mentioned. He's 35 next season. Why would he go to Formula 1? Why would he go to a team that's sort of languishing around the back and we're not going to expect to get him that podium? Nick De Vries didn't get a chance in Formula 1. Is he going to want to leave, though, the front runners in Mercedes in Formula E to join a team, again, that's going to be near the back in Formula 1? Daniel Kvyat's been mentioned as well, and to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing him back in Formula 1. So if I really had to make predictions on the teams that are changing next year, Hamilton and Russell at Mercedes, Bottas and Giovinazzi at Alfa Romeo, and Latifi and Daniel Kvyat at Williams. But before we get to next season, there are still 12 races to go of this one, and we have a fascinating title battle. And Aidan has asked me what my predictions are for the second half of this season. Who do I think will do well, and what races do I expect to be exciting? I think the next race at the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps could be crucial for the championship. Lewis has got a lot of momentum now. He always looks good after the summer break. How many times did we see him look level with Rosberg, look level with Vettel, and then he found that other gear after the summer break, and Mercedes looked to have found a bit more performance as well. Spa is a track that can test different elements of the car. Sector 1 and Sector 3, known for the top speed parts. Sector 2, all about the downforce, so that could be an intriguing battle at that circuit. The race after that, of course, for the first time in 36 years, we're going to the Netherlands. That's going to be an interesting atmosphere, given the opinions of the fans with Lewis and Max at the moment. I don't expect it to be the most exciting race, though, just because of the layout of the track. It's going to be a brilliant end to the championship. You've got the battle for 3rd and 4th in the Constructors as well. McLaren look to be the more consistent car, but how close has Charles Leclerc come to winning races? Qualified on pole at Monaco, qualified on pole at Azerbaijan, was 3 laps away from winning at Silverstone. I wouldn't be surprised if that somewhere like Sochi, somewhere like Abu Dhabi, we see Ferrari take the top step of the podium again. But who am I going for at the top of the championship? I'm going to go for Lewis Hamilton. I'm going to go for Mercedes. They found that extra bit in their car, and even before Verstappen had that massive incident at Silverstone, I just, in the back of my mind, was thinking about reliability for Red Bull and Honda. And if that engine is damaged, they won't be able to use it. That's almost certainly a grid penalty. And you never know if any more problems might pop up. So I think Lewis Hamilton is going to get that record-breaking 8th Drivers' World Championship. Well, that is it then for this video. Thank you everyone who sent your questions in. I hope I've covered everything that people wanted to hear. Leave a like and subscribe if you've enjoyed it. Leave a comment with anything you'd like me to cover in other videos. You can find the rest of my socials down below in the description. And I'll see you soon for some more F1 videos. Goodbye.